The U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, background, events, and aftereffects. The United States invasion of Iraq in 2003 was a significant event that had far-reaching consequences both regionally and globally. This documentary provides an in-depth analysis of the background leading to the invasion, the events that unfolded during the invasion, and the subsequent effects on Iraq, the United States, and the wider Middle East region. By examining key factors such as the rationale for the invasion, the role of international actors, and the aftermath, this video aims to offer a comprehensive understanding of this controversial military intervention. Historical context. To understand the invasion of Iraq, it is essential to examine the historical context of the region. The fall of the Ottoman Empire, the formation of modern Iraq, and the subsequent rise of Saddam Hussein's regime played significant roles in shaping the dynamics that led to the invasion. Post-Gulf War dynamics. The 1991 Gulf War and its aftermath had a lasting impact on the region. The imposition of economic sanctions, the establishment of no-fly zones, and the UN weapons inspections created a tense environment between Iraq and the international community. The unresolved issues from the Gulf War set the stage for future conflicts. Weapons of mass destruction, WMD, controversy. The issue of Iraq's alleged possession of weapons of mass destruction became a central justification for the invasion. This section explores the claims made by the United States and its allies regarding Iraq's WMD capabilities and the subsequent UN inspections process. Rationale for the invasion. Multiple factors contributed to the decision to invade Iraq. This section delves into the motivations behind the invasion, including regime change, regional stability, oil interests, and the Bush administration's broader agenda of promoting democracy in the Middle East. The invasion. Coalition of the Willing. The formation of the Coalition of the Willing played a crucial role in the invasion. This section explores the key countries involved in the coalition and their respective motivations for supporting the invasion. Shock and Awe campaign. The US-led invasion of Iraq was marked by the implementation of the Shock and Awe campaign. This strategy aimed to quickly and decisively incapacitate Iraq's military capabilities and undermine Saddam Hussein's regime. Overthrow of Saddam Hussein's regime. The invasion led to the swift downfall of Saddam Hussein's Ba'athist regime. This section examines the key events that led to the regime's collapse, including the Battle of Baghdad and the subsequent capture of Saddam Hussein. Aftermath. The aftermath of the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003 has had significant and far-reaching consequences on various aspects of Iraqi society, politics, and the broader Middle East region. The invasion, led by the United States and its coalition partners, aimed to topple the regime of Saddam Hussein, accusing Iraq of possessing weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and supporting terrorism. However, the invasion and subsequent occupation had unintended consequences and resulted in a complex and volatile situation in Iraq. Political instability and collapse of Saddam Hussein's regime. The initial phase of the invasion resulted in the rapid collapse of Saddam Hussein's regime. The Iraqi military was quickly defeated, and Saddam Hussein himself was captured in December 2003. The Ba'athist Party, which had ruled Iraq for decades, was disbanded. However, the collapse of the regime left a power vacuum, leading to a breakdown in law and order, as well as a struggle for political control among various factions. Sectarian conflict and rise of insurgency. The power vacuum created by the collapse of Saddam Hussein's regime led to a surge in sectarian tensions between Iraq's Sunni and Shiite Muslim communities. The majority Shiite population, long oppressed under Saddam's Sunni-dominated regime, gained political power through elections. However, this shift in power marginalized the Sunni minority, leading to feelings of disenfranchisement and fueling the rise of insurgent groups, such as Al-Qaeda in Iraq, AQI, and later the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS. These groups capitalized on the Sunni grievances, launching a brutal insurgency against the newly formed Iraqi government and the US-led coalition forces. Humanitarian crisis and displacement. The invasion and subsequent insurgency resulted in a severe humanitarian crisis in Iraq. The violence and instability forced millions of Iraqis to flee their homes, either internally or as refugees in neighboring countries. Many innocent civilians became victims of the conflict, facing death, injury, or displacement. The lack of basic services. such as electricity, clean water, and healthcare, worsened the humanitarian situation, affecting the overall well-being of the population. Economic challenges and corruption. The invasion and subsequent occupation had a detrimental impact on Iraq's economy. The country's infrastructure was heavily damaged during the conflict, and efforts to rebuild were hindered by ongoing violence and instability. The mismanagement of Reconstruction funds and widespread corruption further hampered the economic recovery. Additionally, the dismantling of state-owned enterprises and the implementation of free market policies led to increased unemployment and economic inequality. Sectarian politics and political fragmentation. The post-invasion political landscape in Iraq became highly sectarian in nature. Political parties and factions formed along sectarian lines, further deepening divisions between Sunnis, Shiites, and Kurds. This sectarianism hindered the formation of a cohesive national government and impeded efforts to promote national reconciliation. Political fragmentation also hindered effective governance and led to a lack of trust in the central government, exacerbating the country's instability. Destabilization of the region. The U.S. invasion and its aftermath had significant implications for the broader Middle East region. The removal of Saddam Hussein's regime created a power vacuum that allowed Iran, a Shiite-majority country, to expand its influence in Iraq. This shift in the regional balance of power heightened tensions between Iran and its regional rivals, particularly Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states. Furthermore, the rise of extremist groups like AQI and ISIS not only destabilized Iraq, but also threatened regional security, leading to the spread of violence and terrorism across neighboring countries. Failure to find weapons of mass destruction. WMDs. One of the primary justifications for the US-led invasion was the belief that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction, WMDs. However, no substantial evidence of such weapons was found after the invasion. The failure to discover WMDs undermined the credibility of the invasion and led to widespread criticism and skepticism regarding the motives behind the war. Legacy of sectarianism and violence. The sectarian tensions and violence unleashed by the invasion and subsequent insurgency had a lasting impact on Iraqi society. Deep-rooted sectarian divisions and mistrust continue to shape Iraqi politics and hinder efforts to achieve national unity and stability. The legacy of violence and terrorism also contributes to ongoing security challenges in the country. Long-term consequences. Destabilization of the region. The invasion destabilized Iraq and had ripple effects across the region. This section examines the power vacuum left by the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime and the subsequent rise of sectarian tensions, contributing to ongoing conflicts and challenges in the region. Rise of ISIS. The vacuum created by the invasion paved the way for the rise of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS. This section explores the conditions that allowed ISIS to emerge and the subsequent challenges faced in combating this extremist group. Iraqi politics and governance. The invasion had a lasting impact on Iraqi politics and governance. This section examines the formation of new political institutions, the challenges of sectarianism, and the struggle for stability and democracy in post-invasion Iraq. Impact on U.S. foreign policy. The invasion of Iraq had profound consequences for U.S. foreign policy. This section discusses how the invasion shaped subsequent U.S. military interventions, influenced public opinion, and impacted the perception of U.S. credibility globally. Impact on U.S.-Iraq relations. The U.S. invasion and occupation strained relations between the United States and Iraq. The perception of the United States as an occupying force and the human rights abuses committed by some U.S. military personnel tarnished the image of the U.S. in the eyes of many Iraqis. Although the U.S. formally withdrew its combat troops from Iraq in 2011, the relationship between the two countries remains complex and marked by challenges. Conclusion. In conclusion, the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003 had wide-ranging implications for Iraq, the United States, and the broader Middle East region. By understanding the historical background, the events that unfolded during the invasion, and the subsequent consequences, it becomes clear that the ramifications of this military intervention continue to shape the geopolitical landscape of the region. The invasion's impact on Iraq's stability, sectarian tensions, regional dynamics, and the rise of extremist groups underscores the complex and multifaceted nature of the conflict. The invasion also had significant regional implications and shaped U.S. foreign policy in subsequent years. The Iraq War serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and potential unintended consequences of military interventions and the challenges of nation-building in a post-conflict environment. Additionally, the invasion raised important questions regarding the legality of preemptive military action, the role of international institutions, and the responsibilities of occupying powers.